Now it's working. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Superman Homepage Live, brought to you by SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. In this, our February 14th, Happy Valentine's Day show, we're going to be covering a range of topics, including upcoming Superman and Lois episodes. We're going to be talking about the big Dark Crisis event coming in DC Comics. We're going to be talking about your favourite Pa Kent and so much more. We're also going to turn to you to take your questions and comments on any particular Superman topic you would like to discuss. And to let you know how all that works and how you can get involved in tonight's show, let me introduce you to my co-host. Happy Valentine's Day, Michael.
Oh, happy Valentine's Day to you too, Steve. Hey everybody. It is Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
I'm doing fine. It's weird because, it's not that the spark hasn't gone out of Rachel and I's relationship. We just don't do anything for Valentine's Day. Especially now that we're still in the middle of a pandemic. It's not like we're going to go out to eat or anything. So,
yeah.
But we appreciate everybody in the United States that has decided to spend an hour of their Valentine's Day with us. And because Superman Homepage Live is all about the Man of Steel, we want to hear from the Superman fans that are watching us live right now on YouTube. So if we don't have a whole lot on the docket, which seems to be kind of a rarity these days, we will take calls about halfway through the show. And to do that, well, you're going to need Skype. Go to Skype, search for Superman Homepage, and send us a message that you'd like to chat with us live tonight. Now, a couple things. Wait for us to call you because we thought the camera was going to go out tonight. The technology is still not really all that solid on this. So please let us call you. Don't call us. And if we do have you on and you watch Superman Homepage Live through an external speaker, please mute that because we are on a bit of a delay and that can screw things up.
Yes, and for those who are tuning in live via YouTube tonight, we encourage you to participate in the comments. There are fans already there: Eric, Justin, Butson, Michael, Mark, and so many more who are tuning in live to chat with us. Feel free to have a chat with them, comment, ask questions, and Michael and I will keep an eye on that to react as the show goes on. If you would like, however, your question or comment to be featured on the screen as we go to air, that's called a super chat. All you have to do is click the little dollar symbol there on YouTube. A slider will appear on your screen. You decide on the dollar amount you're willing to donate, and we'll feature your comment or question on the screen as we go along. And thank you to our patrons, Douglas Meacham, John Patrick Van Pelt, and Tina Murray. Thank you to our major sponsor, Blazed Candle Co. They offer everything from dark sense of humour to positive uplifting candles. They even do custom orders. Place your order today at blazedcandleco.com or use the QR code on the screen for all of their websites and social media. Blazed Candle Co. Lighten up. And thank you to Blazed Candle Co. All right. So for me on Valentine's Day, my wife and I, Sonia, we actually started dating, going out, whatever you want to call it, back on Valentine's Day, 29 years ago now. So while we didn't go out to dinner, we like to do a little kind of get-together thing where, we just have, light a few candles, have a bit of a bite to eat, play some music, and, have a nice night in.
That's sweet.
Nothing.
Yeah, no pressure,
over
first date on Valentine's Day.
No, not at all.
No, but we used to go all out. It's just the last few years. Especially the last few years. It hasn't been a huge deal. Which maybe one day it waxes and wanes. It's like Christmas. I mean, some years you do a lot, some you don't.
Yep, indeed. All right, well, happy Valentine's Day to everybody out there. As Michael said, thank you for spending an hour of your Valentine's Day with us, joining us on this Superman Lonely Hearts Club edition of Superman Homepage Live. We have people already commenting on my background. It is one of the pieces of artwork. I think it's a wraparound cover for Dark Crisis, the upcoming DC event, which we'll be talking about shortly. But I wanted to start with the movie news side of things, and there isn't a lot to go on, but Warner Media, Kids and Family did announce this week an exciting new Teen Titans Go, DC superhero girls reunite for a Memorial Day weekend to combat Lex Luthor and his unified gang of DC supervillains in DC Titans Go and DC Superhero Girls Mayhem in the Multiverse. Here is the promo trailer for this upcoming animated movie.
When every villain in the DC Multiverse unites to form the Legion of Doom! One team of heroes
Woohoo! You guys are in trouble now!
is not going to be enough for one movie.
You know, you might want to bring the big guns with you on this mission. What if I told you I hold the power to get rid of every superhero?
They'll need all the help they can get.
You guys sure do things differently here.
The entire multiverse is at stake.
What if I lose control? What if I hurt someone?
You might be surprised what darkness can do if you give it a chance. I know Harleen Diana. She's not evil. For once, this girl's not with anybody. I never thought I'd say this, but burritos for lunch was a horrible idea!
It's gonna be mayhem.
Great Scott, what is this?
We eat crises of catastrophic proportions for breakfast.
That's what happens to any superhero dumb enough to face the Legion of Doom! Time to kick some Legion butt!
Teen Titans Go and DC Superhero Girls Mayhem in the Multiverse. Look for it on digital, Blu-ray, and DVD.
There you have it. That looks like a little bit of fun.
Yeah, I'm kind of fascinated that we've gone from, all these things are their own, entities. Like, the Teen Titans Go is its own thing. Superhero Girls is its own thing. All the different versions of like Justice League and the Super Friends. And now, like, both Marvel and DC are like, no, we're going to lean heavily into this multiverse thing. We're going to do Crisis of Infinite Earths on, the CW shows. And, we did several different Spider-Man in No Way Home. And, the next Doctor Strange film is Multiverse of Madness. So it's just kind of like we have so much content now that this is like... this is like the norm instead of being something fans just talk about.
Exactly. I did catch a glimpse of some Super Friends style Supermen in there from the cartoon series of the 1970s and beyond. They're a little bit of fun. I've never been a big fan of Teen Titans Go, and the DC Superhero Girls was a bit of fun. But it looks like it's, like I said, leaning into the multiverse story arc kind of idea, and it looks like a little bit of, as it says, a lot of mayhem in the multiverse. This will be released on May 24th digitally, and will premiere, and Blu-ray and DVD as well, May 24th, and then it will premiere on Cartoon Network on that Saturday, May 28th, and then on HBO Max beginning June 28th.
Yeah, my wife loves Teen Titans Go. It's kind of funny. We've watched a little bit of DC Superhero Girls. It's I'm not the demographic for that.
No, I think it's a lot younger audience. But yeah, that's a bit of fun coming out our way in the next couple of months. Before we move away from the movie side of things, our good friend Aaron Price of A Price Production has put together a little fan edit of a scene involving Helen Slater's Supergirl saying farewell to her cousin Superman, played by Christopher Reeve, which he imagines could have been inserted at the end of the 1984 film. Take a look at this scene that Aaron put together. I think it's fascinating. It's really well done. Here it is.
It's all right, Supergirl. We never saw you.
We never even heard of you. Thank you. I have to go. I have to return this to where it belongs.
I know that. Care. Take care.
Thank you, cousin.
What about that?
That was cool. Yeah, it was very slick.
Yeah, he does a really good job of, obviously that's a pretty tricky thing to do to be able to get the right kind of footage and be able to, get it in there together. It's very good, amazing skills.
Yeah, it looked really slick. I the only thing that really didn't look good was the flying effect that Aaron had nothing to do with. So
So yeah, well done to Aaron. Amazing job. He does some really good work out there, and it's only fitting that we show that so that fans can check out some of his other work. So yeah, if you're interested, check out Aaron Price from A Price Production. They've got a YouTube channel there. It's available on our website, so take a look. All right, let's look towards the television side of things. And while we've had no episodes of Superman and Lois last week, or indeed tomorrow night, new episodes will be back on February 22nd on the CW, and it is titled Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon. And we did have a number of photos. I know we've shown a previous trailer for that, but here are some photos from this episode, which is obviously focused on the fact that Sarah has her quinceañera, which is a Spanish, Latin American coming of age type, like a Sweet 16 type of thing.
yeah, it's when they turn 15.
Okay. So there you have it, some of the photos from that party, and then obviously we've got stuff happening outside of that get-together, where Chrissy, Beppo, and Lois are obviously still continuing their confrontation over Chrissy's issues with the way Lois has dealt with the whole thing with her sister and the cult that Ali is running and how it's being dealt with. So yeah, interesting episode coming up.
Yeah, it looks good. The trailer definitely has me excited. I'm just annoyed that the Olympics interrupted. I'm still annoyed. I was annoyed last week. I'm going to be annoyed this week.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you.
So, I mean, it's just... You shouldn't have had the Olympics in the first place. There's still a pandemic on, but whatever.
Fair enough. You got a deep cut on that one.
Yeah, I'm just annoyed for several reasons, but that's an amazing dress she's wearing. I think that's kind of cool.
I think this is the trailer. This is the trailer we previously showed, but it's for episode 5, and I think a few other episodes maybe beyond. Have a look.
All this talk about mirror dimension sounded crazy.
You think this thing could be my shadow self?
Why didn't you tell me that that thing you were chasing was you?
It's not me. We're on the same side here.
Every day I believe that just a little bit less. You're training this guy?
Your parents may need Jordan's help. I made a huge mistake. My family's about to pay for it.
What happened is not your fault, Clark.
Superman and Lois, new episode Tuesday, February 22nd. Free next day only on the CW app.
I love the fact that Lois continues to wear purple as often as she does in these episodes.
Yeah, I like that too. There were some fun photos circulating today of her and Alex Garfin wearing similar T-shirts.
Yeah, they're wearing one of those classic Lois Lane, Superman's girlfriend Lois Lane T-shirts where Lois is in the Superman costume holding Superman for a change and flying him off.
It was adorable.
Yeah. All right, so that's the next episode coming up on February 22nd. And then beyond that, we have the synopsis for the 6th episode of Season 2 of Superman and Lois, which is titled Tried and True. And in this particular episode, we have Lois tells Clark that she and Chrissy plan to do a deeper dive into the inverse society, and Lana and Sarah try to comfort each other after the fallout at Sarah's quinceañera. Meanwhile, Jordan notices something suspicious in Jonathan's book bag. Lastly, Lieutenant Mitch Anderson finds himself under fire for the deterioration of the Department of Defense's relationship with Superman.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Duh.
in the trailer, he's just like, "Why didn't you tell me about why didn't you tell me what we were going up against?" It's just like I told you guys weren't ready. Like I flat out said that. I just can't wait for the next episode. I really think they're hitting their sophomore season hard, and the fact that they're keeping up the level of quality that they had last year is just fantastic to me.
And obviously in this episode, Jordan noticed something suspicious in Jonathan's book bag is probably the Crystal K.
Yep, more than likely, which is probably why he's punching him in that one clip in the trailer.
Yeah, probably. All right, so that's the episode airing on March 1st, and we'll give further details as they come to hand for upcoming Superman and Lois episodes. Also on the television side of things, HBO Max has released a mid-season trailer for the Young Justice Phantoms animated series. Have a look at this mid-season trailer.
Let us begin.
Show me the one true king.
Everyone has a breaking point.
He's the spawn of Darkseid. The people are in open rebellion.
Your authority means nothing here.
I don't want to be needed.
Come with me if you want the entire galaxy to survive.
There you have it. I did catch a glimpse of Connor there. He looked like he'd previously kicked the bucket, but
yeah, that never stops anybody.
No. Death? What's death in comic books? In comic book shows?
Not the obstacle it once was.
Not at all. Thanks to the death and return of Superman. To be fair, there have been others who've come back.
I was about to say. I mean, there was Jean Grey. Plenty of people have come back from the dead before Superman died and came back.
Yes. So Young Justice Phantoms returns this spring, only on HBO Max. Everyone has a breaking point. The teenage superheroes are back, striving to prove themselves as members of the Justice League. So yeah, it's coming back after it's a bit of a mid-season break. All right, let's move into. We're moving along at a nice click, so we should be able to take some calls if you're interested in calling us. As Michael said, using a message via Skype. But we're going to get into the fan favorite segment of our show right now. All right, Michael, what was our fan favorite question from last week?
Who is your favorite live-action Pa Kent actor and why? And Stephen Marshall wrote in, we had some wonderful interpretations of Pa Kent, but John Schneider has to be the definitive. Of course, he did have the advantage of being the Pa Kent we got to spend the most time with, but the writing for Pa Kent on Smallville was second to none. I hated that they killed him off in season 5, but I'm glad he got to come back spiritually a few times, and he was one who handed the suit to Clark when it was time for him to become Superman. Always hold on to Smallville. Yep,
so thank you. That was a John Schneider there is obviously a big favourite of a lot of people. JP Rocha wrote in saying that I know it's not the most popular opinion, but Kevin Costner as Jonathan Kent was a perfect choice in my opinion.
Michael Ballack wrote, that was a tough question. For me, it's a tie between John Schneider from Smallville and Eddie Jones from the 90s show The New Adventures of Lois and Clark. Both infused their portrayals of Pa Kent with humility and humanity with a touch of humor.
Very good. Yes, he was a really good Jonathan Kent, wasn't he, for the show?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Eddie Jones they were fantastic. They were kind of like, almost like the heart and soul of the show at times. I'm glad he lost that weird thing he was doing with his voice in the pilot. Kind of talking with like at a higher clip and all that. Yeah. But no, we lost him some time back, if I'm remembering correctly. So it's we haven't really had a bad Jonathan Kent. That's the thing.
No, that's true. That's true. No, we haven't. Like, we've had some bad Lex Luthors and, yeah, but I guess Ma and Pa Kent, they've got to be kind of endearing towards, towards the audience. Otherwise, they kind of lose their spark.
Yeah.
But anyway, last off, we had this answer from Ryan Ignatius Pratt. He said, my favourite live-action Pa Kent would be portrayed by Eddie Jones on Lois and Clark. He had a great chemistry with Kay Callan's Martha, as well as a wonderful rapport with Dean Kane's Clark. An honourable mention goes to Glenn Ford, who's on your screen right now, for Superman the movie. Though only on screen a few minutes, his performance left quite an impact both on the film's story and on the audience. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, who's your favorite, Steve?
Good question. I'm actually partial to Glenn Ford. Something about his role and the way he, kind of put his arm around Clark and consoled him at a moment and then was gone, really brings a tear to my eye every time I watch the show. He, like Ryan says, he wasn't on screen for a long time, but the impact that he had and the warmth that he had just made him, to me, a Pa Kent that I could really warm to.
Yeah, I actually, oddly enough, I go for John Schneider.
Okay.
Just because it can't be understated the impact their version of Jonathan and Martha had, like, for an entire generation of Superman fans. I mean, it's just, and it's kind of funny. I think this question goes to which version of Superman did you first start watching?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
But I this is one of those like stories that only works well when you're existing on the internet. But I remember it had to be around like 2007. I was on a message board because I had a really good active social life, and I wrote Ma and Pa Kent, and somebody responded, "Ha, how trite," and it just made me realize that Smallville changed the way, and Lois and Clark did to kind of a certain extent too, because he never called him Pa or Ma really all that much. It was usually Dad. But it was Jonathan and Martha that really kind of broke out of that comic book concept of Ma and Pa Kent, where it's Jonathan and Martha. And the Snyder films kind of just went on with that. He called him Dad.
Yeah.
It's what he yelled, when he should have saved him. I'm going to die on that hill. But John Schneider had he was kind of like the balance between like Glenn Ford and Kevin Costner.
Mm-hmm.
Like he has the wise word and is there for his kid, but he's also like, you got to be careful. I know you have to do this, but you have to think about it. And it's kind of interesting. And I think that's why it kind of falls to him for me, because he is kind of like the quintessential Jonathan Kent. Lois and Clark got very silly.
Yeah.
Very quickly, actually. So there were points, it's like there was an episode where it started with Jonathan coming to Clark's apartment because he and Martha are having a fight, and he's got a nude portrait of Martha with him. Like, okay, why did you bring that
to your son?
To your son, and more importantly, how did you get that on the plane? I mean, like how do you check that into baggage? So that's not discounting Eddie Jones, because again, they were one of the better parts of that show when that show got bad. But it's kind of funny that there seems to be this contingent, especially of Smallville fans, that like had like a serious problem when they killed Jonathan off.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
yeah, well, I mean, the fact that he originally killed Lana, but then, Lana died, but then to save her, Jonathan died. It was like, no, you should have left it the way it was. But John Schneider, the fact that he was a familiar face from the Dukes of Hazzard days kind of helped. It made him a familiar face, and he while he'd aged, he hadn't aged badly at all.
No, not at all.
Yeah, he was the voice of reason, but he was still stern, but he was still lovable, and I agree with you. And I think the fact that why people like the Lois and Clark version to some extent is the fact that in this version of the story, as in the Byrne era comics, they're alive. Their death, you know, like Pa Kent's death in Superman the movie, isn't a catalyst as much as, you know, it was in previous stories for him to become Superman, or for, you know, for that part of the story. So the fact that they're alive and that he can continue to go to them for advice is, I think, a great element of the story that was added thanks to Byrne.
And that's a weird thing about Superman fandom too, is that there is that divide. There are people that are like, no, they have to be dead. And to them, it's to teach Clark the lesson that, you know, with all his great power, you know, he still couldn't save the two most important people to him. And I'm like, yeah, but as somebody that lost a parent at age 17, it kind of messes you up. So I don't really wish that upon anybody, much less my favorite character. So, and again, to be fair, I came into the comics when the Kents were alive.
Yeah.
And you could argue that they weren't really dead during the Silver and Bronze Age, because even though they weren't there for adult Clark, Superboy was a constant strip. He sometimes had 2 titles. So it's just like they were never really gone. It was just they had died when he was an adult, and so they weren't in the adult adventures. But
yeah, very true. They were very much a part of the Superboy adventures. Mind the Gap in the comments said his favourite version is John Schneider. Michael F. Ballack says Glenn Ford was awesome, and Ron agrees, Glenn Ford. And Mind the Gap says you could argue Glenn Ford left an impression on Superman mythos in general, and I guess it did because of the heart attack idea. So yep, a lot of people agreeing there. He said Justin said when Schneider left, Smallville flatlined a bit.
Yes.
So wouldn't disagree there. And Michael F. Ballack saying that he prefers the Kents alive in the story. It grounds Superman to his humanity. And I guess that's a question for another day. Maybe a fan favorite question or a big question down the line about. And we might have done it before, but it's probably a good time to do it again, asking fans whether they prefer the Kents alive or dead. That's a pretty sad way of putting it, but you know what I mean. All right.
Are you a terrible person?
Yes. We're about the halfway mark of tonight's show. Before we go into the break, what is our next big question? Because I have a bit of a kind of a disclaimer there.
Yeah. Oh, it's what is your favorite Superman novel to date? That's it's going to be a good one.
Had a few good Superman novels around. So what is your favorite Superman novel so far? And let us know why. And we will get to that when we return to the fan favorite question. And here is the disclaimer, or here is the note that you need to be aware of. We will not be doing a show next week, February 21st. I will be away. So our next show of Superman Homepage Live will be on February 28th. So no show next week, but we'll be back the week after.
Yeah, don't believe them. We're at the end of our contract and we're in forced arbitration. And next week we're legally not allowed to talk to each other. So we have to take that week off. But we'll be back for my very non-birthday.
Yes, exactly, for the last day of the month and Michael's non-birthday, and we'll get through all the monthly segments and everything like that. So how many non-birthdays is that? Like, what would you be if you were actually born on an actual birthday?
Well, I'll be 46 this year, but I'm going to be 11 and a half of this year. So
how cool is that?
Yeah.
Don't look a day over 10.
Yeah, that's why there's all this gray in my facial hair. So.
Oh, good. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break and then come back on the flip side to talk about. We're going to do the This Week in History and then get into the comic books side of things. I'll be back right after this.
We'll be back in a moment with the exciting climax of today's episode. So stand by.
If you're enjoying Superman Homepage Live, then please like and share this video with your family and friends. Also, if you'd like to subscribe to our YouTube channel, then you can click on the bell to receive notifications whenever we post a new video. You can also join our YouTube membership program, just click the join button below. Or you can become a patron and support our website by going to patreon.com/supermanhomepage.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird.
It's a plane. No, it's SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. SupermanHomepage.com, covering the world of Superman from the 1930s to today. News, reviews, rumors, and reports. SupermanHomepage.com for all your Superman comics, TV shows, movies, cartoons, radio shows, and more. Everything you ever wanted to know about the Man of Steel and more. SupermanHomepage.com.
Thanks, Superman Homepage, for all the support over the years. I really appreciate it.
I'm Matt Bomer, the voice of Superman in Superman Unbound, and this is the Superman Homepage.
Right here on Superman Homepage.
To stop the evil Doomsday, you need a hero who's more than a man. He's been called the greatest, the strongest, the first among heroes. High-voltage villain Conduit is powered by kryptonite, but with Krypton cannon blasting, laser Superman powers him down. Conduit will learn, don't mess with the S. It's the dreaded Doomsday, the most fearsome force in the universe. Even Doomsday will learn, you don't mess with the S. Superman figures each sold separately, blocks not included.
Don't mess with the S.
Yes. I love that commercial.
I wonder why.
It's a nice animated Superboy there.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the few times that we've seen him in the leather jacket like that.
Yeah.
Outside of the comics.
A couple of funny comments, or comments I should kind of mention as I spoke about no show next week. Mind the Gap said, hopefully now that you say that you're not doing a show next week, it means that there is big Superman movie news tomorrow. Yeah, it's always the way when we just do a show or miss a show, there's going to be big movie news to drop. So, and if it does, you can thank us.
Yes, yeah, it'll be our fault.
Yeah.
So,
thank you very much.
Yes.
Justin saying, no live show, no Superman and Lois, another flatline week. Well, you will have a Superman and Lois next week.
Yes.
We won't be there on the Monday night, but the next night, or Tuesday afternoon for Justin, but the next night there will be a Superman and Lois episode, which we will talk about the following week. So you're not really missing too much there at all. So yes, plenty to look forward to. All right, getting into this week in history.
Come with me now, my son, as we break through the bounds of your earthly confinement, traveling through time and space.
All right, going back to 1942, we have World's Finest Comics #5, which has one of their patriotic covers by Fred Ray, of a bunch of people watching a movie that would never happen back then. You'd hear about it on the radio, just not in the movies.
Exactly.
The Superman story in this jam-packed 96-page comic was The Tower of Terror, which now Disney owns as one of their rides. Also, that same year, you have Superman throwing a man through a brick wall in Action Comics #47. This is the Power Stone story. So I believe this is like one of the stories that first hinted that Superman came from another planet in the comics, which wasn't a thing. It fascinates me that Superman's origin, as much as everybody knows it, wasn't really a huge deal in the comics. The first time they actually showed like the full version wasn't even a Superman story. It was a Superboy story from 1945. So jumping ahead to 1962, we have Superman's girlfriend, Lois Lane. Good Lord, people. We have Superman who's apparently been turned into a baby and is really resentful of Lois, which I think, encapsulates the Silver Age for Superman, like, just in a sentence. But you have The Silver Coin of Fate, The Widow in Black, and Lois Lane's Revenge on Superman, which is the cover feature. Also from 1962, we have Superboy number 96, which has a blonde Superboy flying away as Clark Kent is in a cell, and apparently Krypto just doesn't know the difference between his owners. And this was the new Boy of Steel.
Yeah, that's Pete Ross.
Yeah, well, what a jerk. I'm sure at some point in that story, I haven't read it, obviously, but I'm sure at some point in that story, he has a flashback to when he saw Clark change into Superboy when they were camping. Because that was like a rule. Jumping ahead to 1972, we have Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen, number 148, which not only had a new story called The Monarch of All He Subdues, but there is a Newsboy Legion reprint in the background with the meanest man on Earth. So the DC, to kind of up the page count around that time period, would put Golden Age reprints at the back.
Okay.
That way they didn't have to pay anybody for it. That sounds mean. It's actually absolutely true. 1982, we have Superman Family number 218 with a very bizarre cover, but we have a Supergirl story called The Goddess from Hell, Jimmy Olsen and the Ones That Almost Got Away, Lois Lane, Strangers in the Snow, and the Mr. and Mrs. Superman story was Kryptonite Mare.
Those Birdmen on the cover remind me of the Fleischer cartoon, where Superman, lies down to that, or the underworld cave or whatever it is that Lois and a particular professor get lost in.
Yep. Yeah. That's a good call. Good call on that. It's still a little creepy. 1992, we actually have two reprints and a new book. We have the DC Silver Age Classics. They reprinted Action Comics number 252. They reprinted all three stories in that, including The Menace of Metallo and The Supergirl from Krypton. I really liked these. They did another one reprinting Adventure Comics number 247. But these were $1 reprints, and I remember there was a lot of them on the newsstands where I was buying comics. And it was just kind of a cool way to read an older book without having to pay a fortune, because, I'm not going to go on about... I was about to start ranting about Comixology, because they updated their app today, and I'm not very happy with that.
No, we'll talk about that.
But, it's just, this one had the Superboy story, which was the first appearance of the Legion of Superheroes, plus a Green Arrow and Aquaman. But the main feature, the current book, was Superman number 66, Our Army at War, which is one of the penultimate, I believe, chapter of Panic in the Sky. Still one of my favorite stories. Jumping ahead to 2002, we have Adventures of Superman number 601 with the Persuader, and we're still in the black background S era that went on for about a year after Our World's at War. You also had in 2012 Supergirl number 6, and in the real world, because I obviously have nothing to say about that Supergirl issue, we have February 17th was the birthday of Kurt Swan, who was born in 1920, and that is This Week in History.
Excellent. Very good. Thank you, Michael. Thanks for that. Kurt Swan, one of the legendary Superman artists. An amazing artistic man.
Yes.
All right. Yep. You mentioned Comixology. I haven't had a chance yet to open up the new app or the new version of the app, but I did get a notification from Amazon that a number of my subscriptions would not be taken over for some reason, but to the new service. For those who are not aware, Comixology is owned by Amazon, or was bought out by Amazon, but then they were doing away with the Comixology app or creating a new one. And the way you purchase your comics, you'd no longer be able to do it through the app itself. You have to go and buy it through Amazon. So they're not making it easy for digital comic book readers.
No, they dropped a huge thread on Twitter over the weekend, or that I caught, and they're not, apparently when everything launches or relaunches, they're not going to let you put it in a cart. So you can't like put a bunch of issues in a cart and then pay for it all at once. You have to buy them on an issue by issue or a trade by trade basis. And the app itself, now to be fair, part of it's my fault. I have a 7-year-old iPad, so it's not exactly a spring chicken, but it runs really slow on it. And the way they have everything like laid out, it's just not really intuitive. It's like the worst. It's like they looked at Marvel Unlimited and said, how can we do this worse? And one of the more annoying things, and this is again a me thing, and I like things to look a certain way. And when you open a book and start reading it, and then go out to maybe look at another book, there is a little icon of the cover of the book just sitting in the middle of your app while you're, yeah, it's really strange. I may have to take a screenshot, maybe post it. But it's just, I realize that the intent of all of this is to kind of mingle the Comixology and the Kindle. Because they have the Kindle app for their novels, and I think you can read magazines on there as well.
Yeah.
So they may want to merge that, but there was absolutely nothing wrong with the app as it stood. So I'm wondering if there was something proprietary that they are losing the rights to now after. But they own Comixology. This is why I'm really confused. It just seems like they're trying to make it harder to buy digital comics, which is counterintuitive to what the publishers would want or what Amazon would want.
Yeah, doesn't make sense. So I'll give my thoughts once I've had a look at this week's comics, because it's Tuesday already here, but once the comic books are released Tuesday there, that's when I usually open up the app to download the latest issues that are supposed to be on my subscription list. And I'll have a look then to see whether or not it's a mess or not. And I trust your judgment, and I'm not looking forward to it. All right. At the beginning of the show, I mentioned that my background today is from the cover of the upcoming DC event titled Dark Crisis. So what is Dark Crisis? Let me have a look at some of the images I'll show you as I discuss them and read the material that was released by DC Comics this week. We have, in the original Crisis on Infinite Earths, as you know, by Marv Wolfman and George Perez, the homeworld of Pariah, along with the Infinite Multiverse, was obliterated. Now, this mad soul survivor has found a way to bring his homeworld and the entire Infinite Multiverse back from the dead. Earth Zero must die. An ancient destructive force called the Great Darkness, first appearing in Swamp Thing by Alan Moore and Stan Wack, is the weapon Pariah will wield as he paves a path to rebirth and vengeance. In DC's next big event, A Dark Crisis, the heroes left behind must come together to combat this great evil and save the lost Justice League. But what happens when not everyone agrees to join the fight?
Yeah, I heard the name Dark Crisis, and I'm like, is this like a focus group name? Like, did they ask people what they want to hear? Because it seems, I'm trying not to be snarky, because I know people are probably looking forward to this, but the fact that it's called Dark Crisis, and the fact that they're like, it's all about legacy, I'm like, do you guys just keep this in like saved in a clipboard somewhere, and you just press it into an event every couple of years? Wasn't it like a year ago that they launched the whole, Infinite Frontier era, and it was all about legacy, and it was all about charting a new course, and now we're going right back to doing crises and bringing back old characters and turning them into villains. It just seems like the hamster wheel is like the rotation is just getting smaller and smaller.
Yes, I agree with you. So this is going to be written by Joshua Williamson with art by Daniel St. Pierre. And Williamson says, Dark Crisis is an epic DCU event about legacy. It will have all the giant fun cosmic battles and multiversal set pieces, but it's not about reboots, retcons, or rewriting time and space. At its core, it's about the characters and the relationships that we've seen built over DC's great history. Dark Crisis spins out of Justice League number 75, which is the Death of Justice League story, and connects all the story threads across the DCU since Infinite Frontier number 0 in a major way, unifying the new legacy of the DCU as we honour the classic. You can't miss it, he says.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be great. I'm sure it'll be written. The artwork that, we've been displaying looks fantastic. It's just, man, I'm glad I'm out of it.
Fair enough. Now, if you're interested and to dabble and maybe dip your toe into the water, there will be a free comic book day offering titled Dark Crisis Special Edition. This will be released for free on Free Comic Book Day for 2022, which will be when is Free Comic Book Day? I'm just having a look at it here. Free Comic Book Day is looking for the May 7th, I think it is.
Oh, so they're putting it back on track then.
Yes. So May 7th is Free Comic Book Day, and Dark Crisis number 0, the Prelude comic book, will be a free comic book that you'll be able to pick up from your local comic book store, or I guess download digitally on that particular day, Saturday, May 7th. So it's a good idea to, for people who may be a little bit hesitant thinking about, do I want to really get into this big saga?
Yeah.
Also on Free Comic Book Day, they've got something for teens, which is not necessarily Superman related, but I'm going through them here. Galaxy, the Prettiest Star is the name of the comic book. And then for fans of a younger audience, we have the Free Comic Book Day offering DC League of Super Pets. DC League of Super Pets, the Great Mixie-Up special edition free comic book featuring Krypto on the story there, which it's kind of like an early preview of the upcoming animated movie. Before it releases on May 17th, you'll be able to read this free comic book on May 7th, so the week before.
Oh, it's supposed to sound like Mix-Up. I get it. Okay, that's clever.
Involving my favorite Superman villain.
Yes, absolutely.
So they're the Free Comic Book Day offerings from DC this week. If you're interested, for more information, head to our website or freecomicbookday.com. As I said, that is on Saturday, May 7th. All right, so that's Dark Crisis. But as for another comic book we're looking forward to, Batman, Superman, World's Finest. DC gave us a preview of this comic book saga, which is looking really cool. A lot of people looking forward to this one. World's Finest number 1, written by Mark Waid with art by Dan Mora. Just flicking through some of the artwork coming your way right now. What do you think of this? Are you interested in this one at all?
I am. I'm probably going to read it trade waiting, as they say. But it's kind of neat that they're involving the Doom Patrol. It is very old school looking Superman and Batman, with Batman in like the 70s and 80s outfit, and it's going to be interesting because the Doom Patrol has been kind of the province of the Vertigo end of the DC universe. So now to see them teaming up with Superman and Batman, that's going to be really interesting to see how Wade plays that out.
Mm-hmm. So it says here, in the not too distant past, Superman's powers are dangerously supercharged following an attack by the villain Metallo, and the only ally that the ultra-powerful Man of Tomorrow can turn to in this turbulent hour is Gotham's own dark vengeance, the Batman. A near-fatal burst of power drives Bruce Wayne to his own extreme measure to help his friend, enlisting none other than the Doom Patrol for help.
Yeah, that's just a cool idea. I love the Robin costume too.
Mm-hmm.
That's really slick looking. No, it looks like it's a lot of fun. It's aimed at the people that want the kind of the old school versions of these characters in a kind of a modern context. So you have your Dark Crisis over here, and then obviously in this corner of the world, you have kind of more of a classic, quote unquote classic version.
So there's some of the artwork that we showed you from Dan Mora, which looks really good. The characters look awesome, and as you said, it's kind of got an old school feel about it. So looking forward to that when it gets released. But as for comic books available this week, this is what we have to look forward to. If you're reading comic books, we have, just turn that World's Finest one off in the background. Justice League number 72 is out this week, and that is available in this variant cover right there. Also out this week is Nightwing number 89, which is part 1 of a 2-part crossover with Superman Son of Kal-El, and that is available in a couple of different variant covers right there. Also out this week is the 8th and final issue of the 8-issue miniseries Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. That is also available in a variant cover, and I can tell you that our reviewers have already submitted their reviews of all 3 of these comic books, so that the reviews will be posted on our website tomorrow. And I can tell you, give you a little bit of a preview, that Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow has received the lowest rating of any comic book we have ever reviewed.
Was it a negative number?
He wanted to give it a negative number, but we gave it a 0.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
Yes. So, Tom King.
Shots fired.
Shots fired, exactly. So you'll be able to check out those 3 reviews on our website tomorrow. Now, I don't know much about Daniel Johnston, but he was a singer-songwriter, a visual artist who has passed away a while ago now, but he has influenced pop culture, and DC found some sketches that he did that they will be using as covers for an upcoming issue of Batman number 121. And the reason I mention it is because, I'll just turn the Supergirl comic book off there, there is a Superman cover amongst the variants that will be published. That's the Batman one there. There's a New Gods one there, but this is the Superman one here. Says here on the press release that Johnson, whose cult status earned him early outspoken support from the likes of Matt Groening, Kurt Cobain, Sonic Youth, and David Bowie, was the subject of the acclaimed 2005 documentary The Devil and Daniel Johnston. The first ever museum retrospective of the artist's work, Daniel Johnston, I Lived My Broken Dreams, is on view at the Contemporary Austin in Texas through March 20th. And the upcoming comic books, Batman number 121, will feature 3 limited edition variant covers featuring original pieces of art by the late singer-songwriter and visual artist. The comics will be released by the award-winning comics retailer Austin Books and Comics on March 1st and sold in cooperation with the world-famous Electric Lady Studios and the Contemporary Austin.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
It's a neat Superman logo. Kind of like that.
Very different. So, yeah, just something I thought I'd mention for anyone who might be fans of the artist Daniel Johnston. All right, there have been in the past many variant or very interesting covers for Mad magazine that have featured Superman over the years, whether they be from Superman the movie, Superman 2, Superman 3, Man of Steel, and now we can add DC League of Super Pets to the list because Mad magazine are bringing out a variant issue featuring Krypto. So this is a variant cover for issue number 24, dated April 2022, featuring the DC League of Pets star, Krypto right there, and says, "You've been a very, very mad dog." The new pet-themed issue features a Heinz 57 variety of mad favourite classics like Spy vs. Spy, a mad look at by Sergio Aragonés, The Lighter Side, and far more, The Usual Gang of Idiots, and more from The Usual Gang of Idiots. So yeah, this will be available on sale tomorrow, February 15th, The variant cover for the April 2022 edition features artwork by Ed Steckley right there.
With the Daily Pickle in the background. That's kind of it's kind of funny. I didn't even think Mad Magazine was still around.
I think it stopped for a while, which is why this is a number 24, because it's like it's been relaunched. But not a great look at Krypto, but nevertheless, I guess there'll be some.
It's Mad Magazine, so they're going to poke fun at it.
There'll be some super hijinks within, no doubt. So there you have it. And obviously, DC League of Super Pets, the animated movie, will be released worldwide in May this year. So, yes, we'll check that out later on. Now, also on the publishing side of things, Brad Meltzer, a great name in writing of any type, and a friend of the Superman homepage, has a couple of small books coming out for younger readers. Stories that Change the World. I Am Superman. Illustrated by artist Chris Elopoulos. This series of books of ordinary people changing the world books will feature an I Am Superman, an I Am Batman, and an I Am Wonder Woman titles. And it says here, for almost 80 years, the story of Clark Kent has been told by thousands of creators, and this picture book biography is the perfect way to introduce the younger readers to this legendary superhero. From his beginnings on his birth planet Krypton to his childhood on Earth, I Am Superman focuses on the ways Clark Kent was super because of his actions, not just his powers. So this will be released in September.
I think we're missing an opportunity here. I honestly think this should be called I am Superman, and then in parentheses, and I can do anything. But they're not going to do that. No, I was kind of surprised because these books that Meltzer has been doing for the past number of years have all been like historical figures, so like real people, and it's kind of weird to think, he's a comic book writer. Yeah, that was like over almost 2 decades ago.
Indeed.
In all honesty, so the fact that he's dipping his toe back into it is kind of neat. I'm actually going to pick those up. That, as much as I like the Superman one, the Batman one is just, that cover is just adorable.
It is.
I am the Knight.
Indeed. All right. Well, that pretty much brings us to the end of tonight's show. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to Superman Homepage Live, and thanks to all those in the comments there that were participating as the show went along. We really appreciate you guys and your involvement. And thank you to our patrons, Douglas Meacham, John Patrick Van Pelt, and Tina Murray. And thank you to our main sponsor, Blazed Candle Co. And to you, my co-host, Michael Bailey, thank you very much.
Yeah, pleasure as always, Steve.
Remember, there's no show next week. We'll be back the following week on the final day of February, so we look forward to chatting with you then. Until then, be sure to make sure you check out supermanhomepage.com for all your daily news updates on everything surrounding the Man of Steel. I'm Steve Eunice on behalf of myself and Michael Bailey. Thanks for watching Superman Homepage Live, brought to you by supermanhomepage.com.